Level 1, $0. You're 2 minutes late, not 20. 2. Traffic on Route 9, a train crossing, a customer who buzzed the wrong apartment and made you circle the block. None of that matters to Ray Castellano, owner-operator of the Big Sal's on Fenwick Avenue, who built his whole personality around a red digital clock bolted above the register. 30 minutes or it's free. Ray treats that clock like scripture. You clock in soaked from the rain, pizza bag still warm, and Ray's already got your last check printed. He doesn't yell. Worse, he's calm, like he rehearsed it in the mirror. 2 minutes is a lifetime in this business, kid. You're either on the clock or you're in the way. He taps the register clock twice, like it's a judge banging a gavel. The two guys folding boxes in the back don't even look up. You've watched Ray fire 4 people this year for less. You're 23. You have $40 in a checking account that auto-pays for a phone plan you can barely afford, and a Corolla with 190,000 miles that smells like pepperoni, no matter how many trees you hang from the mirror. You hand Ray your apron. He doesn't take it. He points at the bin. Outside, in the parking lot, an old man named Walt, who's ordered the same small pepperoni every Tuesday for 6 years, paid cash, tipped exact change, is sitting on the curb waiting for a ride that's late. You sit down next to him without meaning to. He hands you half his slice without asking if you want it. Clock's not the boss, son, Walt says, chewing. Clock's just what small men hide behind. You don't know it yet, but that's the only severance you're getting tonight. It's also the only advice you'll ever actually use. Level 2, $1,300. That's what's left in savings after 2 months of unemployment, a car repair, and a landlord who doesn't do payment plans. You've applied to 11 delivery apps and been rejected by 3 for having too many recent short-term jobs, which is a polite way of saying Ray Castellano gave you a bad reference on principle. So you stop asking permission. You buy a $60 domain name and build a website that does one thing Big Sal's and every other franchise on Fenwick Avenue refuses to do. Guarantee real-time tracking, so a customer isn't just told 30 minutes, they can watch the 30 minutes happen. You pitch it to exactly one person, Walt, at the same curb, because he's the only person who ever treated you like your time mattered. Walt doesn't own a restaurant. Walt owns 4 laundromats and a garage. He listens to the whole pitch, says nothing for a long 10 seconds, then pulls a folded 20 out of his flannel pocket. Not an investment, Walt says. A bet. Different thing. Bets don't come with a spreadsheet. You build the app yourself, nights and weekends, teaching yourself to code from videos with bad audio. You sign one restaurant, not a pizza place, a Thai spot 2 towns over whose owner is tired of losing customers to the 30-minute promise she can't keep. Scan count on your first sticker, 0 for 11 days. Then a stranger orders pad CU at 9:47 p.m. and you deliver it yourself in the Corolla, and you watch the little dot on the map move because you built the dot. You don't tell Ray. You don't tell anyone. Some wins are quiet on purpose. Level 3, $85,000. That's annual revenue by month 10, spread across 6 restaurants, none of them named Big Sal's. Ray hasn't noticed you exist. That's about to change. Because word travels on a street with 6 restaurants on it, and one night Ray corners you outside the Thai place, arms crossed, doing the tone he does, the disappointed uncle tone, aimed at a nephew he never had. Heard you've got a little computer thing going, Ray says. Cute. My guy handles all our tracking already. His guy is a paper log and a landline. You'll learn the hard way this business runs on trust, not apps. You don't argue. You've learned that arguing with Ray is like arguing with the clock. Pointless, because he built himself to always be right on schedule, even when he isn't. You just nod and let him walk back inside, under the same red digital clock, radiating 30 minutes of certainty he's never once earned. That night your dad calls because your mom told him about the little tracking app, and he asks the question every family asks eventually. So when's this turn into a real job? You tell him it already did. He laughs like you told a joke. You let him. Walt's laundromats start using the app for delivery pickup logistics. A use case you never imagined, but revenue is revenue, and it teaches you something. The product isn't pizza. The product is never having to trust a man's word when you can trust a dot on a map. Level 4, $6 million. 18 months later, you're not a delivery app anymore. Your logistics infrastructure for 41 small businesses across 3 counties, and a regional food group just wired you a check with more zeros than your father's mortgage. Big Sal's corporate, the franchise umbrella, not just Ray's location, signs on as your biggest client, ironically, because their own tracking software is a decade old and their franchisees are bleeding customers to competitors who can actually tell someone where their food is. You never meet the executives. You just watch, from a spreadsheet, as Ray's location specifically underperforms every other Big Sal's on your platform. Slowest average delivery time in the whole network, 3 straight quarters. You could tell someone, you don't. The clock does that job for you now, and it's finally counting against him. At a company holiday party you didn't expect to enjoy, Walt shows up in a blazer he clearly bought for the occasion, hands you a small gift. The same folded 20 from 4 years ago, laminated. Never spent it, Walt says. Didn't need to. You paid the bet back 100 times over just by showing up every day since. You tape it to the wall of your office next to nothing else because it doesn't need company. Level 5, $120 million, Big Sal's corporate files for bankruptcy on a Tuesday in March. 42 locations, drowning in debt from a leveraged buyout nobody at the franchisee level agreed to. Ray's Fenwick Avenue store is one of 11 locations named specifically in the filing as chronically underperforming. A local reporter calls you for comment since your company processes their delivery data. You give a 2-sentence quote about market pressure on legacy chains. It runs above a photo of Ray's dark storefront, the red digital clock finally unplugged, frozen at some meaningless hour. You don't celebrate. You've built 41 relationships with people who trusted a scared 23-year-old with a laptop before anyone else would, and none of them are Ray. Revenge was never the business model. It just kept happening to be a side effect. Then your ops team flags something during due diligence on an unrelated acquisition. The whole Big Sal's chain, trademark and all, is going to auction. 11 locations, 41 employees who did nothing wrong, 1 clock that's about to get sold for parts. Level 6, $1 billion. That's where your company sits in valuation the week the auction closes, and you're the only bidder who shows up in person instead of sending a lawyer. You buy the entire Big Sal's chain, trademark, real estate, the Fenwick Avenue location included, for $1 billion, folding it fully into your logistics platform instead of gutting it for parts, because 41 employees are still on payroll and none of them fired you for being 2 minutes late. Ray applies for a driver position 6 weeks later. He doesn't recognize your name on the offer letter until he walks into what used to be his own store for orientation and sees you standing under a clock that no longer says 30 minutes. It just says the truth, live to the second. He doesn't say anything. Neither do you for a while. Then you hand him an apron. Clock's not the boss, you tell him. Never was. Walt's laminated 20 is still on your office wall. Some bets you don't need to explain. You just keep showing up until the whole street knows the difference between a man who watches a clock and one who finally stopped needing it to feel in control.